Hey friends, Korin here with Creative Worship Stamps by Sweet and Sassy Stamps. I am going to be showing you today just a really fun way that you can turn an old book page into a fabulous background paper for your card making, your journaling, whatever crafts you enjoy, whatever paper crafts you enjoy. So let's pick some colors. And these are some Distress Oxide inks that I'm going to be using to start out to add some color to my paper. I've got Cracked Pistachio, Mustard Seed, and Salvaged Patina. So I'm doing this directly on my Ranger mat. I have a craft mat by Ranger that I'm going to be using, and this is just a book page that came out of an old book. I think somebody gave it to me, actually. I don't even think this was one of mine. So I'm going to spritz this with some water to activate it a little bit, and the first thing we're going to do is just dab our page in some of this ink. We're just going to pick up some color and get this page nice and vibrant. And I did try to choose colors that would complement each other. When you do something like this, you do want to try to choose complementary colors. That way, you know, when they blend together, they don't turn into mud, because that can be something that happens. Now what you can do as well with when you're doing something like this, if you don't like the front of it, usually it's going to go through on the back side. So you could actually, you could actually use the other side if you feel you like that better. I want a little bit more blue in here, so I'm going to do this again, but this time we're going to do some blue. Make this page nice and colorful. Now what you're going to want to do is, once you've got all of that ink sopped up, you're going to want to dry this or let it air dry. So I'm going to go ahead and dry this. Okay, so now I've got this nice crinkly piece of book page, and now I'm going to add some more texture and some more layers to this. So this time I want to take, I think I'm going to take some of our Mini Marks 1 stamp, and maybe we'll do this one. And I'm going to use the same ink that I just used, some complementary colors, and I'm just going to add, I'm using my hand because I don't really care if it doesn't stamp perfectly, but I'm just going to use my hand to apply some more texture in the background of that page. Okay, so we'll clean this off. Stick him back on his spot, and then let's take some, how about we play with the Going Postal stamp set. This looks like fun. So I'm gonna just take some of the different elements of this stamp. Let's see, how about if we do, I think I'll do this right here, this little image. And I'm going to use some, because it's right here, I'm going to use archival ink, but you could use VersaFine ink if you like, or whatever your favorite black ink is, really. We're just going to kind of stamp this all over the place, really, just wherever. Okay, we're going to do that with a bunch of these different images. Now if you want, actually it might even be quicker and nicer if you just take a piece of scrap paper. I'm actually going to use an old, I'm just going to use a security envelope to do this, because then I can use this when I'm stamping. Instead of having to clean that ink off every time, we can get extra use out of it. Let me just put these back on here. And then I think I'm going to do, I really love this image and this one. So let's do, let's see, get that one ready. Okay. We're just going to do some of these images as well, just kind of all over the paper. You can even put it with the stamps if you want some of the postage stamps. All right, we'll do that. That way we're not wasting our ink. Let's do some with this little guy. Kind of fun, just you can just fill in areas if there's areas where you want there to be, you know, less white or whatever. Doesn't matter. Just kind of have fun and play around. It doesn't have to be in any specific way. We're just creating texture and really just playing and having fun. So it's starting to come along. Looks pretty fun. Now what we can do is, let me just put this away real fast. Set that one aside. And let's see, how about a little bit of stenciling? Find a stencil. We'll do the diamonds, the faded diamonds, because this is what I had nearby. So what you can do here is just, again, adding a little bit of interest, a little bit of texture. We could do it with some more of the complementary ink. Just grab a blending brush here. You can do some texture this way. Right, that is really starting to look fun. Okay, I'm going to set that aside for a second. And let's see, what else could we do? What else could we play with? I do love my Grunge Grid, but I don't know if I want to do that or not. Let's see. I guess we can do that. And then what you could do is take a little bit of, you want to add a little bit of white to this. We could get a little bit of a color going, or I mean a white, not a color, a white to go against the color. And I'm just going to use some gesso because I feel like it's white and it works. And I'm just using a makeup sponge. I don't want to get too much on here, but excuse me, by just tapping this on lightly, excuse me, we're going to get just kind of a lighter texture. We're not going to get, you know, it's not going to be super white. It's just going to soften some of this. And you'll be able to kind of see in the background there. Some more of that texture. Okay, so what do you think? Isn't that fun? It's getting more and more layers of texture on there. Okay, so now what I think I want to do, because I love me some paint splatters, and I feel like I want a little bit more of like the blue, because I feel like we've got a lot of green and a lot of, well, not too much of the yellow, but still, I would really like there to be a little bit more blue. So I'm actually going to use some acrylic paint to do this. And because I have a plate here that's messy already, I'm going to take a little bit of acrylic paint. You can see this here on my plate. I'm going to spritz it with some water, get it wet, and I'm going to mix it with a paintbrush to make more of a wash. And then I'm going to splatter, go crazy with the splatters. The harder you tap your brush, usually the darker you're going to get. Some of those paint splatters will be like larger. Okay, how fun is that? All right, let me set this aside, and I'm going to just dry this real fast. As you're drying. All right, and then I want to add a little bit more black. I feel like we could use some more black on here, some more contrast. So let's see, let's grab another mini marks and grab our, actually yeah, I do have a VersaFine here, so let's see if we can get, VersaFine gives really nice vibrant color. All right, so we're gonna just, again, I'm just using my hand, and I want to just add a little bit of this black texture in the background. Okay. And you could really keep going if you wanted to. If you wanted to soften some of it, you could come in with some gesso, which I might actually do. If you have gesso, if you don't have gesso, you could probably use like a white acrylic paint if you wanted to soften some of the areas. And I'm not afraid to get my fingers messy, so I literally am just going to do this with my finger. So I'm just going to come in and go over this with a little bit of the gesso to give me some softer areas. Just kind of blends out some of the color, sends some of that color to the background, and some of the texture to the background of the piece, which think is fun to do. I like using my finger because I have a little bit more control over how it goes on. So, okay. I think I like that. Maybe we'll do a little bit just up here, kind of edge, a couple of these edges. And then, yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it like that. Need to, of course, dry it again. Make sure it's nice and dry. Okay. And then we've got our piece of patterned paper that we can use to create whatever we want. Cards, Bible journaling projects and pages, art journaling. Okay guys, so here's my patterned paper. I cut it down basically in half because that's about what an A2 card size. It's a little bit smaller than an A2 card size, so that's perfect. And what I think I'm gonna do is honestly just tear this at kind of an angle. And for one of my cards, I'm gonna use it just like that. And what I want to do is a little bit of I think I want to do something on the back, in the background here. So what I want to do, I want to do a little bit of paint splatters in the background. So but I want it to be like basically a black. So I'm going to take a little bit of this is black acrylic ink. I'm just going to take a little bit of this, put a little bit right there on my plate. And then I'm going to take a wet paintbrush and just wet this a little bit more. And then we're just going to do some black paint splatters in the background. Okay? Alright. Now, make sure this is dry. Okay, so I do have a little bit of ink here. I'm going to just wipe this off, because that will definitely end up on my card at some point if I don't clean it off. Okay, and I'm gonna do, I think what I want to do is, I'll trim this down once I glue it all, but I think I'm going to glue this down. This down. Nice and flat. Okay. Then we're going to take our, let's see, so here's a card front, or a card, I'm sorry, card base. Take our card base, fold that in half, and then I actually want to do a little bit of a black border around this, so I'm going to trim this down. Add me some black cardstock first. Move my things out of the way here. Let's trim down some black cardstock, and then will be my mat for my card. And then I want this piece to be slightly smaller, so we're going to cut this down do just a little hair off the bottom and then do some off the top. Okay, so this is going to be 4 inches by 5 1/4. And that's going to fit really nicely right on top. And then I have my card base that it will go like this. Okay. And then go ahead and just glue. Going to go right there. Glue this one down. Okay. And I feel like my card is just a little bit off, so I'm going to take my little trimmer here and just shave off tiny bit to make that more uniform. Sometimes that's how you got to do things when you've glued something down. So, okay, so we're going to do that. And then I think what I want to do is, and actually it looks like I might need a little bit of glue here. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, now I'm going to use some paper scraps to create a cluster. Before I glue it all down, I'm actually going to kind of build on this, see what kinds of things I can do. I'm using scraps right now. Just grabbing scraps of pattern papers, different things that I have. I don't know if I want to do something like this. You literally can take all kinds of scraps and just build layers on top of each other. Here's a little scrap that has this, it's got like a seam binding, this green here. It's kind of nice. And so I am gonna cut this out. Use this to be kind of a little cluster, part of a cluster here. Let's see. If I'm going to use that whole piece or if I just want to use part of it. Maybe just part of it. I'm trying to decide if I want to use this piece here, or if I want to do something a little. Oh, you know what we could do? This might be fun. Let's see. You know, these envelopes that we just toss in the trash when we get mail, they have some really cool textures on them, guys. So keeping them and using them is actually kind of a fun way to recycle. It's kind of a fun way to recycle. So we're just going to use this to be like a little bit of a cluster. Maybe like that. Alright, so let's start gluing this down. Let's just start gluing it down and we'll see what happens. I'm gonna move this out of the way. Alright, so there is that part, and now we need a sentiment, right? So let's figure out what we're going to add to this. Okay, so let's see. I don't know if this is going to work the way I want it to, but we're going to try it, and if it doesn't, we will fix it and it will be okay. I'm going to do missing right here. See if we can get that to stamp nicely. Yes. Then we're going to do the word you right here in this little white spot. How perfect is that? So I'm going to clean my mess up a little bit, but then I am going to add some flowers to this. So I'm going to do that off screen, but I'm going to put them right in that section there, and it'll finish off the card. So here you are, my finished card. I love how it turned out, so many yummy layers. And then I did take that other half piece of torn paper and create another card with it. A pretty simple card, but I love how it turned out as well. So here's another quick look at that first card and then the second card. And then I did also include the background piece I still have left. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Have an awesome day.